to us. So we're here at 101 Outdoor Creation Space doing some work on Galatea. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the production it's leading towards, the play, and maybe introduce yourselves too.
Cool. My name's Frankland. I'm an artist and a theatre maker, and I'm leading the project Galatea.
I'm Kesson. I'm a theatre historian working with Emma on Galatea as well. My sign name is this.
And my sign name is Emma. So yeah, we're here at 101 Outdoor Creation Space. We're part of the Seabed Commission, and specifically looking over these 2 weeks at how we integrate BSL into what is a 500-year-old pre-Shakespearean text. We've been working since the start of our explorations with Galatea 5 years ago. We've had sign integration at the heart of the project, and it felt really important to have a period of time before we get into rehearsals to give focus to that, because we're doing a job of translation, right? The entire play has to be translated from one language into another, and not from modern English into BSL, but from early modern English into BSL. So there's quite a lot of work that needs to happen before we're at the point maybe of just getting up on our feet and playing.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know the play, it's a play which is interested in different languages itself. One of the first things that the goddess Diana says when she meets the lovers in the play is, "I understand not one word you say." And there's a whole kind of subplot of boys looking for jobs, and it turns out the only way you can get a job is if you can fake the crazy language which is kind of allotted to particular kinds of professional worlds. I guess professional worlds define themselves by the languages that they speak and that no one else does. So it's a play which really turns on language and inclusion, exclusion and translation.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think what first drew me into Galatea was that there's a queer love story at its heart between two trans-identified lovers, and that's obviously really exciting. That's really radical, even in 2021, let alone for a play that is, that is old. And that really forces us to recognize that transness has been around forever, that queerness has been around forever. So that drew me to the play. But now when as we're building towards the production, I think the themes, like you say, of language, of exclusion, of how migrants are treated within culture, how a society deals with people that are different from itself, and access to protest as well. We're here where 101 space where we're working is right in the heart of Greenham Common, which was the site 40 years ago of historic women's protest against the American nuclear base that was here. And recognizing that at a time when our own access to protest is being suppressed by our government, that here is a play that speaks about how people who are marginalized by society can protest and affect positive change.
Absolutely. We're also starting these rehearsals 2 days after Kabul fell in Afghanistan. So not only just where we are geographically, but where we are in time as well. It kind of feels very surreal to be doing this work, but even more important to be telling these stories about all of these characters in a process of migration and trying to find ways of belonging in this world.
Always our aim was to build towards an outdoor production, knowing that as a medium, outdoor, early modern, classical performance is going to attract all kinds of audiences for all kinds of reasons. And that's really exciting because for a play that's going to deal with very contemporary themes that ordinarily an audience might not find themselves compelled to come and see. So I'm very excited that, the play's a classic, the play's a rom-com, it's going to be explosions and, fireworks and spectacle, but also it's going to speak to these very present and urgent themes.
Mm-hmm. Emma, you might want to talk in more detail about the 5 years, but Emma and I have been working together for 15 years now, horrifyingly, and one of the things that I've really valued about the collaboration is the kind of different ways that we bring, again, these two worlds together and get them speaking to each other. I've learned so much about a play I thought I knew pretty well, and it turns out I really didn't, and I've really enjoyed learning that and learning new things from you. You want to talk us through the 5 years?
I mean, it's amazing that I do feel that the play continues to reveal itself, and sometimes, a thought will come up, or something will happen in the room, and it feels that, like, I don't know, like, without getting too funny about it, but it feels like, you know, the spirit of Lyly is still with us. And whenever I have a thought, the play reveals a way that can, like, hold that really perfectly. It's, you know, definitely a very alive text. But yeah, we have this will be now the fifth kind of period of work on it. We had a week that was supported by Jerwood Space 5 years ago, which was just about exploring the play with a group of, you know, actors of lots of intersecting identities. And then we did a period of work with trans actors, looking specifically at the identities of the lovers. Then we had 2 weeks down in Cornwall looking at, does it work outdoors? Looking at the gods who were in the play, looking at the mortals who had this human sacrifice thing going on, and recognizing that, yeah, it really works outside. And then in 2019, I was invited to the Stratford Festival in Ontario, Canada, where they were doing a big summer of workshops looking at how they, as a company that pretty much exclusively look at the Shakespearean canon, how could they move towards decolonization, and what other kinds of classical canons might there be. And so we were looking at what would constitute a trans canon, so of course Galatea felt like a great fit. So these different periods of work, and so many artists and thinkers and academics have contributed to where we are now, that it feels unbelievable that TBC, information coming, there'll be a production in 2022, and it's finally going to be a thing that we can share with people, because there's been so much love put into this play that is also about love, right?
Absolutely about love. And I guess the other thing to say about that long process we've had of that 5 years preparation, as we're moving to our final stage of fundraising, it's just how much time, money and care it takes to be able to do this kind of work carefully, safely, equitably. And we're very aware that we're sort of working alongside a theatre world in which a Shakespeare production might get 6 weeks of rehearsal plowed into it. We don't have that infrastructure or that finance behind us. And I'm saying that particularly to the benefit of anyone who might be interested in helping us out as we look at the final parts of the budget for this production.
And it's really, okay, so we're being shy about asking for money, but I mean, also it's a really important point that the company that we're working with is made up of, you know, it's a trans-led company, largely made up of queer artists. There's like the deaf artists who are involved. There are artists from the global majority who are involved, and these are all performers and types of identities that are not afforded the space to play on a big scale very often. There's a real scarcity of work from artists from any number of marginalised backgrounds, and the fact that we have come so far with this production is quite remarkable, and it's testament to how much support there's been. It's testament to the support that we've had from allies, and we're so close. And it would be a travesty if the reason that this production didn't happen in 2022, when we've got a commission, we've got dates, if the reason that didn't happen was because we couldn't raise the last 50 grand or so. So, you know, we're close to our target, but absolutely any any donations really help. They help with our funders, and they help the production.
Yeah. And maybe the last thing I'll say in relation to that is all the things that Em's said about why this production matters are so vitally important, and thinking about non-Shakespearean early modern drama feels much less important than those issues. But so often the plays which we don't stage anymore from the past are precisely the ones that speak most vitally and most importantly to communities who are marginalised now. So I really love the dovetailing of the way this play, which is, you know, the humans are all working class, the humans are all migrants. There are very few adult cis males in this play. I really love the way it's allowing us to do this work now. The thenness and the nowness, the past and the present feel really interlinked.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I'm just going to ask one last quick question. What are you hoping to get out of this week? So we're speaking at the start of this 2-week process. What are the next couple of weeks going to look like?
This week is Song Week, right? So we have our core BSL speaking company, and then each week we have 2 hearing actors as well. And so for the first week we have 2 actors who are singers, very competent the singers. And so we're really looking at how we can bring song into the production, how we can use that as a medium to give voice to some of the BSL speakers, and that's what we're playing with this week. So I'd like to come out of this week with a strong idea of if that's a good idea, how it works, and probably a bunch of songs going around my head.
I want to come out of this week with a happy Emma Frankland. I'm just learning, so I don't come into the process with aims other than seeing this fantastic work continuing and thriving. But I'm really valuing at the moment. We're looking at the nymphs and at Diana, and it's very easy, I think, for a production of this play. For those of you who know the play, it's very easy to take that part of the play for granted. We sort of end up perhaps behind the lovers or behind the gods of love in the play, who feel very sex positive. But Diana is the consent positive end of the play, and a really, really interesting part, which I think, as I say, very easy to kind of end up patronising or undervaluing. So I'm really enjoying learning how we don't do those things.
Thank you both. Cheers.
Helen.
Cheers.